Hey, it's Lauren with Bargain Bead Box. Today we are going to be using the April Bargain Bead Box Blooming Branches collection to make an asymmetric leaf necklace that uses the Lumicina chain included in the box, as well as a beaded segment, and we have some matching earrings. So let's get started. Alright, so for today's design, we're going to be embellishing one of the stainless steel leaf pendants from the April box. We're going to use a little bit of just about all of the beads that come in the box, just a few of each kind. It's a very eclectic design, and we'll be using the bead caps and spacers as well as the chain too. The only things that we're using today that are not in the box are going to be some basic bindings and cord. I'm using wire 591 from the Bead Box Bargain Store. This is a 0.35 millimeter tiger tail. I'm using some Echelon Fire beading thread. We don't actually carry this, but I like it. Need to get on that. No. But we also have clamshell bead tips, which are fine 2130. Some crimp beads, fine 1101, little crimp tubes. Embellished head pins, pin 542. Some 4mm and 6mm jump rings. These are ring 121 and ring 122 at Bead Box Bargains. Some lobster claws from my stash. Just one, you just need one lobster claw. And some eye pins, pin 128. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to decorate our stainless steel leaf pendant with some of these tiny crystal beads. The little 3x2mm mixed rondelle strand from the box. And I am going to use the Echelon Fire cord for this. You could definitely use wire and like wire wrap it if you'd prefer. I just am using thread today because it feels like sewing to me. So I like to use thread for it. But you can use whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and make a little knot around just around the top loop here. I'm going to make it a square knot, go back over and under the other side. There we go. And I'll trim the tail off later. Okay, so I want this loop. These are not perfectly symmetric pieces. I want this loop to be available for my lobster claw, because essentially what I'm going to do is we're going to make a half beaded, half chain strand, and it's going to have the option of either coming around and clipping the other end to the jump ring at the top here, so it hangs like a traditional pendant necklace, or clipping it on to this piece at the side, so you get this nice like asymmetric look. So I'm going to bead the top segment of this leaf pendant, and I'm going to leave the rest open so you can see this really fun filigree pattern. And I'm going to do this just kind of like I'm sewing. I'm going to go up through the filigree pattern at the top here after I throw it on the floor. There we go. And now I'm going to grab one of these beads. I think I'll start with pink. And I'm going to go back down through the same hole I came up through at the beginning. Kind of like I'm sewing. Alright, and this is a wider hole, so I want there to be two beads here, but I want to help hold them where I want them to be. I'm going to go and do the one next to it. Go through this second hole here next, and I'll come back and I'll do another one on that side afterwards. I think we'll do a purple next. So I'm going to string my bead, and I'm going to go right back down through that hole in the filigree pattern. I like this. It looks sort of like stained glass once you get it all done, because you're suspending the beads like in the middle of the holes here. Just adding some color and texture and sparkle. Alright, I'm going to come back up through that top bit again. I think we'll put maybe a green here. There we go. And you can use whichever colors you like. All the colors on this strand will look great with our design. I'm kind of just grabbing what looks good to me. Okay, I'm going to put one in this corner hole next. I think for that one, maybe I'll do white. And we're going to just continue filling in these holes. And it's going to take just a minute. So yeah, you go up through the hole, you grab your bead, and then you go back down through the hole. I'm going to trim this thread from the back because it's kind of driving me crazy. Make sure that I like how it's tied off. That's good. I'm not going to cut it all the way down. I'll trim it closer later and probably put a dab of glue over my knot just to make sure it stays put. There we go. Just try to get that tail out of my way. I think one of these light purple would look pretty next. It is a gray and rainy day here at the studio today. It's very cozy. Something about this particular bit of the project, it feels like sewing to me, which reminds me of my grandma helping me learn how to sew, which makes me feel nostalgic. I'm going to keep trying to pull this thread tight. I feel like maybe we need one more bead up here in this top bit. It just looks empty. So we'll go back in and we'll do another one there. Which color? Maybe this like green brown color. That could be pretty. All right. See if I can get this to sit up a little more. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna go inside here and we'll just keep going. Another dark purple there. I think we'll do green next. And again, we're not really adhering to any kind of a pattern here. It is just whatever makes your eyes happy. There we go. All right, so I'm going to keep on going down. I guess I'm probably I'm halfway there. I guess I'll finish out basically the swirl on this loop. So yeah, we're making some progress. So my family decided, my husband and my daughter and I, we decided we were going to get goats last year. And we just got 3. They're all boys. And my 6-year-old named them. So there's Jumper, named because he jumps up on stuff. There's Java, because he's brown like coffee. And then the third one, she was like, yeah, he looks like a Jonathan. So we have Java, Jumper, and Jonathan are our 3 little goats. And one thing I did not know before we got goats was that they are kind of like cats in that they just hate the rain. They hate getting wet. It starts to rain and they start running for their little barn and they are just crying, like super indignant about getting wet. So this morning as it was raining, they usually, after I let them out of their barn, they follow me as I walk along the fence back to the house, and then they're inside the fence, I'm outside of it, And then when we get to the garage, they know that's where the treats are, so they get treats. And they didn't want to do that this morning because it was so wet and rainy. But then they saw me go into the garage to get ready to leave and come to the office. I pulled out of the garage, and there were 3 very wet, very sad-looking little goats standing by the fence begging for treats. So, of course, they got their treats this morning. They're funny. Oh, all right. We are working our way down here. This is, again, kind of a bigger area. So I think I'm going to try to do a couple beads in each one. Again, I'm just going to come up in the next, I'm going to kind of alternate. I'll do a bead here, and then I'll go and I'll do another bead next to this purple one. I think I'll do a gray next. Let's see if this, I wonder if this might be too big. I'm actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use one of these larger Malaysia jade rondelles and have it sit on this leaf. Because that way it won't fall through. And if I put that out here, then maybe I'll come back and do a little green next to it. So first of all, I'm going to pull this through down here. And I'm going to go down into this little funny trapezoid shape underneath it, so that it stays kind of on this side. And now I think I'm going to go back through it. It's a big bead, and I want to make sure it stays in place. Also, because then, let's see, that might give me more room to put my little green bead where I want it. I'll be honest, I am not an expert at this. I'm just playing around with it, trying to get it to look how I like it. Go right back down here. We'll see if this works. Try to add a little bit of green right in the middle there. Yeah, that worked, more or less. That's cute. Okay, now I'm going to go back down here again, and this time I'm actually going to put a bead in this section. I think it's time, let's see, it's time for another gray. Yeah, and we'll see, hopefully this section doesn't look like it's going to be too big for that. No, that's fine. It'll stay there. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to put another bead in this long section here. To go next to this purple. I think we'll do another one of these peach ones. If I can get it on my thread here. There we are. And we'll go back down here. We're almost done. Awesome. I think I'll put, maybe we'll do 2 over on this side one here as well. I'll do a white because we haven't done one of those. Or maybe one of those other funky green ones. Like that dark green. Alright. Oh, that was silly. Yeah, I gotta go back around the other bit next. My bad. Here we go. So we'll do this little triangle bit. And then we'll go back and do the other hole. I think here I'm going to put, maybe a light purple? Yeah, I think a light purple, and then I'll do a green over there next to the white, and then I think we'll be just about good to go. Just trying to add some color to this All right. And this, it may need another, I may just go up and put another piece towards the middle in each of those, because I think they could use it. So here we go. On this side of the white, I'm going to put another green. And then I'm going to come up. Here, I'll have to pull that one into place. There we are. It got a little twisted there. I'm going to come up next to this purple bead here. I'm going to give this an extra, I think I'll use that weird dark green, like the olive brown color, right here. And we'll go back down through that same hole and try not to snag the top loop there. There we go. And then I'll do one more on top of this white bead up here too. So I'm going to push it back through. Again, just kind of like I'm sewing. And I think here we'll do one more peach. It's like peachy pink color. Then I think we'll be ready to tie it off. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty. You've got a whole bunch of colorful beads. It's just fun. Okay. Okay, so now we've got our entire front beaded. It's time to tie it off. So I'm just gonna go up and around back where this purple bead is. So one little space higher than we came out, than we finished it there. And then I'm not gonna pull it all the way tight coming up. Try to create a little loop, leave a little loop in the back like that. So I've got my little loop in the back there. And now I'm going to go back down through next to that peach bead. That was the last bead we did. But before I pull it tight, I'm going to run it back through this loop that I left. There we go. And make a little knot that way. And pull that as tight as I can. Okay, so now we've got a little knot there. I'm going to tie a little knot next to it. And then we'll cut the tails off. And I'll probably, if you want, you can put a dab of glue or even like a clear nail polish or something just to help hold it. If I can get this knot all the way down. Kind of kinked up my S-on cord here, but we have tied it off pretty well. That little knot there. All right. I'm going to trim this up and we will get ready to string it. All right, now that we have finished our nice beaded accent on our leaf, I'm going to make a little lemon dingle at the bottom. And I'm going to do this with a fancy head pin. Again, those are pin 542. I'm just going to take one. I like the little extra bit at the bottom. I think it adds something to this design. And I'm going to pick a nice yellow citrine to be my lemon. I'm going to give it a little leaf bead cap top. And then we're going to put a little green crystal there. Be like a little leaf on top too. I think that would be cute. Alright, so now I've got my round nose pliers. I'm just going to do a simple loop because this is a thick head pin. I do not feel like trying to wrap it. So I'm just going to curl it down. Pull that back towards me. Kind of form it around the round nose pliers. And there is my simple loop. I will, there we go, pull it up just a little bit, round it out. Okay. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. And now I'm just going to give it a little extra freedom of movement. I'm going to use one of my 6mm jump rings to attach it to the bottom of the leaf. I'm going to do, I think, this tiny hole right here. Yeah, I think that'll be good because the way I'm designing this necklace, it's going to have a lobster claw clasp, so you can either clip it into the ring at the top and have this whole part be a pendant, or you can clip it into like this little hole on the leaf and have sort of an asymmetric hanging leaf pendant. So I think that'll look nice. All right, here we go. So I've pulled my jump ring open. Just gonna put my leaf pendant and my lemon dangle on there. I just really like lemons. I think as a motif they're very cute. Very spring. Not little citrine is just too cute. There we go. So now we've got our final leaf pendant. Now it's time to make the cord to our necklace. So we're going to bead probably a little upper half of it, and then we're going to use chain and eye pins to make a fun kind of eclectic feeling with this piece. Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to do is cut some tiger tail. Again, I'm using 0.35mm 7-strand tiger tail. I am going to go ahead and string on a crimp bead and a clamshell bead tip. So there's some bead tips. Here's some crimp beads. I really like the clamshell bead tips. Wow, that's way too many crimp beads. But there we go. I like the clamshell bead tips with 2 loops on them. I think they make a really nice professional finish super easily. So first of all, we're going to string on the bead tip, and now we're going to do a crimp bead. And when I'm using the bead tip, and especially with this slightly thinner 0.35mm wire, I like to swing around and stick the wire back through the crimp bead and pull that tight, just so you have more for the crimp bead to hold on to. So there's like 2 strands running through there instead of just the one. It also creates a little bit of a more secure hold with the bead tip. Just with that bottom hole, it makes sure that your crimp bead doesn't fall out of the bead tip. Alright, so I'm going to squish this down. Try to fold it over as much as I can. It's a little tricky when you've got the wire wrapped around it, but it's alright. No one's going to see this anyway. And I'm going to just give it a real quick squish with the chain nose pliers just to make sure that it's absolutely squished down there. Okay, now I'm going to trim the top of it off. And I am just going to slide down my clamshell bead tip and we'll hide that whole mess. Which is why I love the clamshells. So I didn't quite get all of the tip trimmed off there. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of squeeze this shut over it. I'll give it a gentle squeeze with my pliers as well. There we go. Okay. So now we have our clamshell end. And we will attach that to our leaf pendant with the jump ring. But I'm going to go ahead and string things first because it's easier for me not to. Actually, maybe the leaf will help hold it still so it doesn't jump all around the frame for you. We'll go ahead and we'll give it a shot. If it's annoying, I can always take it off. So I've got another 6mm jump ring. And I'm just going to open it up here. I'm going to put on the leaf and the clamshell bead tip there. Yeah, I think that might actually help anchor it so that it doesn't jump all around my bead mat here. There we go. All right, so now for the beaded segment. And this is not a super structured or patterned piece. It is going to be very much go with what makes you happy. And I'm going to start out by just doing another little lemon, I think. So that's going to be another citrine, followed by a bead cap. And we'll do another one of these green tiny crystals on top. All right, and so now we're going to do some eclectic beading. We're going to try to make some just like mixed sizes, shapes, colors, just to add some visual interest. We're not going to have like a real structured pattern, but we are going to try to mix it up, make it look nice. So I'm going to do a spacer bead next, followed by one of these little purple rondelles. And I'll do one of these tiny crystals in between. And then I think one of these green crystals would be nice. All right, so there's that. And next I'm going to do a little gray crystal and then a 6mm pink bicone from the bicone strand. I think just about the only bead type that I'm not using someplace in this design is the 10mm pink crystal rounds. Those will have to find something else for. But there's a little bit of everything in here. I think I'm going to do another spacer, another metal spacer. And then another green crystal. Time for some green. And I think at this point I'm going to do another citrine. Okay. And then we'll do some purple. And then one of these little peach rondelles. So we've got the purple 4x3mm Malaysia jade, and then another peach crystal. And next to that, I'm going to do another green crystal. And now I'm going to do one of the 8mm mountain jade, or dyed dolomite beads, in between spacers. So I'm going to go spacer, dolomite bead, spacer. I like the dolomite beads, commonly known as jade, but they're actually a variety of marble. And when they are dyed, they take color really nicely. So they're pretty fun. I'm going to do a lighter citrine after that. And I think a little crystal. Kind of work our way up the rondelles here. I'll do the crystal and then the 4mm Malaysia jade and then the green crystal. I like that. I think it needs some peach. So I'm going to do one of these tiny peach rondelles. Then let's do a spacer. Kind of in the middle of this segment. And then, let's see, we'll do a bicone again. So a 6mm bicone. A green crystal. I think maybe another citrine, maybe like a really yellow one. I like this one. With some visual interest, some patterns on it. There we go. And again, we are not trying to be exact here. We're just trying to go for a look. And you can do whatever you like here. I think I'm gonna put my next dolomite bead inside bead caps. So I'm gonna do a bead cap, then the mountain jade, then a bead cap. And there we go. That works. Maybe I'll do a spacer after it. Oh, I like that. And do a dark purple next. Maybe a lighter crystal spacer. And then I think it's time for another green crystal. I'll make another tiny lemon maybe. Just gonna do, let's see. Yeah, I think that'd be cute. We'll do bicone first. Bicone, maybe another spacer, another citrine bead. Let's see. Maybe I'll do a tiny lemon after I do another purple. So I'm going to do another tiny spacer. And then I think another purple spacer. Or purple rondelle, sorry. Okay, now metal spacer beads on either side of the dolomite. I'm kind of just trying to do like, I don't know, an inch and a half or so between them. I'm going to move all these crimp beads out of the way because I feel like we're almost done with those. There we go. Yeah, just trying to vary it up, mix up the shapes and sizes. We're getting there. We don't need to string too much more. Okay, yeah, I do want to do another little lemon, but I think I'll do a green crystal first. Green crystal, and now I'm going to do the citrine and the bead cap on top of it. Like that. Next, let's see, let's do a tiny little, let's do some peach. Do a tiny little peach rondelle. And then purple rondelle. I think it's time for a bicone. Do another 6mm bicone next. We are getting close. At this point, I think I'll do a gray crystal and maybe another metal spacer kind of in the middle of this segment. I don't think I'm going to do another purple. I think we're already at the point where it's going to be fairly high up the shoulder. I'm not going to make, I'm going for more like a 17-inch probably total length between the beaded part and the chain part. So I think we're probably done with the purple beads. I'm going to do a few smaller beads here on the end. And we'll be done. So I'm going to do another crystal, another purple bead. And then, why not, we'll do a tiny little spacer. One more citrine. And then I think I'll do a green crystal. Teeny tiny one. And a bicone. Let me see how I think that looks. Yep, so we've got our bicone. Yeah, that's fine. Let's wrap it up with a purple rondelle, another spacer bead, and then maybe this light purple crystal on the end. Okay, so now I'm going to do another clamshell bead tip. I'm going to open this one all the way so that I can get my crimp bead pretty flush up against it. Then I'm going to string on a crimp bead. And we'll try to wrap it around and back through again. It can be a little tricky when you're doing this sometimes to try to keep the crimp bead down as close to the clamshell bead tip as possible because it's going to want to pull up as you're pulling this tight. It's just something to be aware of. You don't want your whole design, you don't want it to be so tight that the wire kinks. You want it to have a little room for natural movement. So sometimes I like to curl it up while I'm doing this part because that uses just a tiny, tiny bit more wire and can help keep the beads in place to have a more natural movement. You don't really want gaps though. Alright. So I've got that pretty tight. Now I'm going to crimp it. My crimper beads. Do my best to make it a little smaller. Then I'm just going to squish the whole thing for good measure with my chain nose pliers. I wouldn't do this step or the back around and through step if it was going to be a visible crimp bead, but because we've got our clamshell bead tip to hide it, you can do what you want to make it secure without having to worry about what it's going to look like, which I appreciate. Alright, so now we've just kind of got to guide this shut again and hope that I lined it up right. I'll give it a little pinch, but that looks pretty good. Alright, that part is finished. Now it's time to get some head pins, or excuse me, some eye pins. And we're going to create a beaded chain on the other side of this piece. Just going to gather some supplies for that, and we'll get started. All right, so the next step is we're going to cut some of our tiny little Lumachina chain, and we're going to use a jump ring to attach it to the bead tip here. Now, I've had a couple people ask me about how to work with the Lumachina chain, because a lot of times at the end, it just, you get half of a link. Each link is made up of 2 intertwined pieces. And it is actually very easy to work with. You can use it with jump rings and eye pins like we're going to do here. You just got to take off that half a link you don't need, and then you'll be left with a loop you can actually do something with. So I'm just going to trim it. Just going to very carefully snip the bottom of that link and pull it off. Well, I'm going to snip it a little more. There we go. All right, and so you've got kind of like almost a twisted paperclip look. I don't know if you can see here. It's got a tiny little loop on the end there that you can absolutely connect to your bead tip using a jump ring. So with this very delicate Lumachina chain, I'm actually going to give ring 111 a try. It's a thinner, smaller gauge. This particular, I've had no problem using the larger gauges with some of the other chain I've worked with before, but for whatever reason this particular link seems to be a little bit twisted. So I could cut it off, but I'm just gonna use a thinner gauge jump ring. This is ring 111 from Beadbox Bargains, and it is gonna go on really, really easily. Yeah, and you'll just have more freedom of movement with this size, I think, than we did with the last one I tried. Despite the fact that that's the one I used for a very similar project I made just yesterday, but, you know. Alright, so no problems there. And you can see that we went through that last little loop on the Lumachina link, and then we connected it to our bead tip here. And I'm going to do probably about 4 inches. And with the way Lumachina chain works, you do have to, maybe only 3 inches, maybe about that much. You do have to sacrifice a link to cut it. So I'm going to just give it a little snip at the bottom part of this link, and then take that broken part off. There we go. Okay, and so now I'm going to add, we're coming around the shoulder a little bit, I'm going to add some beaded accents. I think they're going to be fun. So I've got some eye pins, and I'm going to put on a pink bicone. And I'm just gonna, I'll tell you what, I'll just use, there's a wire cutter on my round nose pliers. I'm gonna use my round nose pliers to cut it. And I think I'm gonna just do, just gonna have both loops at about a 180-degree angle from each other. So they're not facing the same direction, they're facing opposite directions. And we're just gonna bend this down. And we're just going to do a simple loop here. Okay, so we're just making a little beaded link. And we're going to swing that open and attach. Here, I got to pull the broken half off. There we go. And see how there's a little loop at the end of this chain? I'm going to attach it to my head pin here. There we go. And we'll just swing that back down. By head pin, I mean eye pin. You know what I mean. Alright. Fun, fun. Now I think I'll do a purple bead. Which again, I'm going to trim the pin down. I have no idea where that flew off to, I'm not going to lie. Okay. my vacuum will find it and complain later. Alright, just make a little loop here. Maybe made that a little smaller than the loop that's on the other side. Ah well, such is life. And I'll just attach this. Just swing open that eye pin and attach this to the pink crystal here. There. We're going to close it again. Alright. I think I want one more link. I'm just going to make a little link with a purple, this 4x3mm Malaysia jade. We'll put that right on there after I drop it. There we are. Just gonna roll this down. Okay, now we'll have a link on this side, and then we're going to attach another piece of chain, just a small piece of chain. There we are. I guess we're not using the rose quartz rounds either. That's the only other strand of beads we aren't using in this design. Okay, so I'm literally going to cut like maybe 5 links of this. So first of all, here we've got a half link that I need to get rid of. It looks almost like a little heart. And you can also just unbend it. Sometimes it's easier to cut it off. Yeah, each link of this chain is made up of 2 little wired squiggles. And it looks very delicate, but it is stainless steel, so it's actually not super easy to cut. There we go. There we go. Just gotta get that untangled. My goodness, doesn't, there it goes. Did not want to come off. Okay, but see, now you've got that clear loop up at the top, so we can connect it. I'm going to cut 5, I want 5 links. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means we're gonna have to cut this link up. So I'm just gonna give it a snip at the bottom half. Try not to snip the other link. The one I want to use. There we are. Okay. So now I've got this tiny little loop on both sides, 5 links of chain. We're going to open this up and put this on. Which is sometimes easier said than done. There we are. Now I'm going to close my loop. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to make 3 more beaded links. I'm going to do first a citrine, a nice yellow citrine. Then I'm going to do a green crystal, the 6x4mm. And then I'm going to do a 6mm pink crystal bicone. So I'm just going to put these all on head pins, and I'm going to link them up. Okay, so we have finished our links. The next thing that I'm going to do is add one final chain segment. And this one, after I knock my citrine all over the place there, this one is going to be about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 links long, I think. So again, I have to get this useless half link off the end of my wire. And then I will cut the 9th link. There we are. So that I have 8 usable links. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to cut this 9th one. Maybe I'll use the 9th one actually. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm actually going to cut the 10th one. Changing my mind. Whichever one this one is, it's getting cut. No, that's one too many. Alright. Snip this here. Maybe. If I can get my wire cutters to cooperate, that'd be great. It's probably about time for a new pair. This chain is a little hard on them. There we go. Okay. Here we are. So we're going to attach that to our pink bicone link. And then we're going to make one more link, actually 2 more links, but we're going to make the next link, and then we're going to string some spacers onto this chain because it is a thin chain. The spacers have a rather large hole. We'll just add some extra fun movement to the piece. Because now we're back around to what you're going to see in the front. So let's see. That may actually be a little more chain than I want right there. I'm going to cut these 2 links off, which will leave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The number I was going to use to begin with. Should have just listened to myself. But I'm very much an eyeballer. I'm going to try things, see what it looks like. If I don't like it, I can undo it. And there we are. That looks better. Okay, so for our next, there's broken chain links everywhere. For our next link, I'm going to take one of the glass flower beads, and I'm going to make a link. Let's see, I'm going to put a peach one first, peach crystal there, and then I guess I'll do a little purple crystal, though that one doesn't matter as much. You're not going to see it as much. And now I'll put the bell bead on, the bellflower bead. There we go, so you can kind of see that peach there. And then at the back, I think I'm going to put one of these purple links, or sorry, purple rondelles. There we are. Okay, and I'm just going to trim that down and make it a simple loop. This is our second to last link. I'll do one more link and then we'll put everything together and we will be done. We can make some cute earrings to go with it too. If you want. Okay, so we've got our bellflower link, which we will attach over here. But first, I'm going to string on 3, here they are, 3 of these spacers. Let's see if we can get this to work. So I'm just going to kind of drop it through the hole. That seems to work best. Let gravity do the work. There we go, there's one. And 2. And 3. There we are. And now I'm going to open the back of this link and attach the chain to keep those beads in place. I just think having the spacers on this segment gives it a little bit of fun movement. And I always like little fidgety bits in jewelry, things I can play with. Because I definitely will. It's satisfying. Okay, so very last link I'm gonna do. I think we'll do a spacer bead with purple on one side and green on the other. And I think we'll be done with this. If I could just pick up this eye pin, thank you. So we'll do green first, then my spacer, and then purple. Here we go. That's maybe a little long. There we are. And we're just gonna rotate that, bend back the loop, grab the top of the loop, and roll it forward. And we've got our final link. And so this is going to go, I think I'll put the purple side next to the flower, since it's got purple on the other side of it. Okay, and now all that's left to do here is take my lobster claw clasp and attach it with a little jump ring. I'm going to use the thicker jump rings, the 122 here. Find my jump ring tool, here it is, and we'll open it up. I'm sometimes not that great at closing these tiny jump rings when they've got a million things on them, but I'm going to do my best here. It's also very fussy when you're doing it down on the table away from your face. I don't feel nearsighted until I start to bead. Then I'm like, oh, I want all of it right in front of my head, but doing my best here. Alright. That's honestly not very good. Good job, me. Okay. I'm going to just pinch it a little bit and I will fix it up later. There we are. Now it's shut. Okay. So, with this piece, you've basically got two ways to wear it. Also, look at that. I love those, the motion on those little spacers. They're so fun. You can take your lobster claw and you can attach it directly to this jump ring here in the middle. And you've got a way more standard necklace. I'll put it down so you can kind of see. Like that. More classic pendant necklace. But you can also take it and clip it over here. And now you've got a really fun asymmetric piece. And you've got that little lemon dangle on the bottom. And it gives you some really versatile options. And I think it's really fun in springtime looking. So I will show you my earrings I made because this has gone on so long. I'm not going to make them again right here. But these are my earrings. I've got basically an exact copy of this link here where you've got the two little crystals, the bellflower, and then the crystal rondelle on the top. And then I've got a link that's just a spacer bead. And then underneath it, I've done another lemon dangle like the one that's at the bottom of the necklace. And I wear clip earrings because my ears aren't pierced because I'm allergic to like a jillion things. But there you go. You can make some little dangle earrings to match very easily. And you've made this really fun, eclectic spring necklace. So yeah, thank you so much guys for bearing with me as I play with some new techniques here with the beaded stainless steel. Thanks for watching. If you are a Bargain Bead Box member, then you received the April box for $22.99. If you are not, you can still find it while our extras last. We'll have it up eventually later this month at our website, beadboxbargains.com, probably around the middle of the month. So we will have that up for you there, and it will be $29.99 at that point. You can also sign up to become a Bargain Bead Box member if you're not already, and you'll get future boxes at the $22.99 member price. And that does include shipping, free shipping in the USA. So thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate all that you do. Thanks for your kind comments and the shares and likes. Please feel free to subscribe. We're glad you're here and we appreciate you. Happy beading.